Drone operators of the 27th Brigade of the Ukrainian National Guard's Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Division detected and struck a Zemledeliye mine-laying vehicle of the occupying Russian army in the Zaporizhia region. As a result of the strike, the armored vehicle engaged in creating minefields exploded and was destroyed. The military engineering equipment, worth $25 million, is designed to quickly create minefields in particularly dangerous areas using programmable ammunition delivered by rockets.
Russians need to prepare for more complex situations in the airspace when they will have to increase the capabilities of the air defense system. This was stated by the Deputy General Director of the company producing electronic warfare equipment, aviation expert Anatoly Krapchinsky, on the air of Radio NV. In fact, the number of strikes on the territory of the Russian Federation has increased recently, and the strikes are positive because they have consequences for Russia. Logistics are being cut off. Ships that were bringing cargo from Iran, components for the Shaheds are being hit, he said. Recall recently, Ukrainian forces have struck a Russian vessel in the Caspian Sea that was transporting military cargo from Iran, marking the first confirmed loss of its kind. The cargo ship Port Olya 4 was hit in an airstrike by Ukraine's Special Operations Forces. Ship tracking data from marine traffic shows the vessel was off the Iranian coast on August the 1st. By August the 12th, it was en route to Russia, and on August the 14th, it was struck near the port of Olya in the Astrakhan region. Port Olya 4 was used to transport Shahed drone components and ammunition from Iran. It is owned by sanctioned Russian shipping firm MG Flot LLC, formerly Transmorflot LLC, linked to Astrakhan businessman Jamaldin Pashayev. His companies have handled Russian military exports since 2021, signing more than 200 contracts for shipping weapons to various countries. According to Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, Pashayev and his firms are part of the supply chain to sanctioned Alabuga JSC, which manufactures Shahed drones. Anatoly Krapchinsky also recalled the strikes on the plant in Alabuga, which produces the Shahed drones, and against the backdrop of all this, information appears about the emergence of a long-range missile that can carry a ton of payload. What does this mean? That, in principle, the Russians need to prepare for more complex situations in the airspace, where there will be a need to increase the air defense system, he noted. Krapchinsky noted that more air defense systems are now located in the temporarily occupied territory of Ukraine because Russia is afraid of losing parity. It has not yet prepared the possibility of using the Shaheds at short distances. Let's remember that the Donetsk airport, the Kerch airport, are being rebuilt to launch the Shaheds. They are afraid of losing air parity, so that, for example, our planes can fly in, he noted. He also added that the situation is difficult for the enemy, but we must not relax. We need to increase our capabilities and increase the number of types of weapons that we use in order to carry out combined attacks on the territory of the Russian Federation, Krapchinsky emphasized. So Ukraine increases the number of strikes on Russian territory. Russian air defense is collapsing against this background and is unable to prevent all attacks. Recall in the last week alone, the Ukrainian Armed Forces Unmanned Systems Forces have destroyed 2 Russian oil refineries and 2 oil pumping stations. SBS Commander Robert Magyar Brovdi summed up the military operations and noted that after the strike, the oil refinery in Novoshakhtinsk, Rostov region, has been burning for more than 60 hours. The situation of the Russian occupation army in the Pokrovsk direction is deteriorating. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have broken through to the settlement of Mirnoye, finding themselves in the rear of Russian units. Now a wave of criticism and mutual accusations of the failure of the defense has begun among ZWAR correspondents and propagandists. According to Russian propagandist Romanov, it was the mistakes of the command of the 5th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade that led to the Ukrainian Armed Forces breaking into Mirnoye, the command of the 5th Brigade of Novokonomichesko, but in fact did not hold these positions. As a result, the enemy was able to advance to Mirno. Now there are battles in the rear. There are risks of losing logistics and encirclement of other units. The ZWAR correspondent panics. Another propagandist, Filatov, spoke even more harshly. According to him, false reports have become the norm, which costs the Russian army very large losses. Look for Novokonomichesko on the map yourself. Supposedly it was liberated, and from there the Ukrainians came to Mirno. They just didn't know that this place has already been cleared. Filatov wrote. Meanwhile, a video from this section of the front has appeared on the internet in which 2 Russian occupiers openly spoke about the situation. My friend and I found ourselves in a very difficult situation. There were only 2 of us left in the group. We contacted the commander and asked for permission to retreat. He refused and threatened to zero us himself. We decided to turn off the radio, throw away our weapons and try to surrender. We are alive. We have no other choice but to surrender, the occupier said. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have not yet commented on the information. However, judging by the panic of the Kremlin propagandists, the situation there is quickly becoming more complicated for the occupiers. Russia's main focus remains the Pokrovsk sector in the eastern Donetsk Oblast, where its troops are slowly advancing northeast of the logistic hub, once home to roughly 60,000 people. Russian troops are trying to close in on the Ukrainian pocket around Pokrovsk, approximately 16 kilometers wide, according to the Ukrainian open-source battlefield monitoring group, Deep State.